Discover how a heartwarming blind date changed a lonely CEO's life forever. An incredible journey. Jack Morris stood in front of the massive glass windows of his downtown Chicago office, staring at the skyline that echoed his success. A 35-year-old CEO, he had clawed his way up the corporate ladder, but all he felt was emptiness. He could practically hear his sister's voice in his head, pushing him to embrace something new. A blind date. Could it really lift this weight off his shoulders? His sister had managed to convince him. Just one date, Jack. What do you have to lose? He sighed, bracing himself for the unknown. Little did he know that fate had other plans. As he walked into that quaint cafe, the aroma of fresh coffee enveloped him like a warm blanket. The walls were adorned with vibrant art creations from local artists. That's where he spotted Maria, a spirited waitress with lively eyes and an infectious smile. She carried a spark that lit up the room, contrasting so vividly with his gray world. The connection was immediate. She served him coffee with a warmth that made him feel human again. "You look like you could use a bit of color in your life," she quipped with a playful grin. The laughter that erupted between them felt like a long-lost melody, one that Jack had forgotten existed in the cacophony of board meetings and quarterly reports. As they conversed, he felt barriers start to crumble. The playful banter soon led to deeper discussions about dreams, hers painted with vivid strokes of color, his sketched in neatly calculated lines of profit and loss. He shared childhood memories of fishing trips with his veteran father, while she spoke of her poetry and the stories behind her art. Yet amidst the laughter, their different worlds loomed large. Maria belonged to the working class, facing daily struggles to keep her family's small business afloat. Jack's penthouse view felt more like a gilded cage each time she spoke of her life's challenges. He longed to bridge the gap, but the weight of his corporate ties hung heavy. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as Jack and Maria's romance began to bloom, disaster struck the very foundation of their connection. A scandal erupted at Jack's firm, and as it unfolded, Maria's family's business faced the grim consequences. It was a nightmare. Jack watched helplessly as the news ripped through their lives like a storm, carrying away hope and leaving despair in its wake. He stood at a crossroads, questioning everything. Should he uphold the corporation's profit-driven agenda, or risk it all for Maria and her family? The decision felt like a noose tightening around his heart. As he wrestled with his choices, words from his sister echoed in his mind, revealing ties woven between their families that he never knew existed. Suddenly, the clashing worlds of privilege and hard work didn't seem so separate anymore. Jack's eyes opened to the realization that success wasn't just about wealth, it was about people, connections that could beat back the darkness. Jack's heart raced, inching him closer to a decision that could redefine his existence. Would he stand by Maria, ignite the passion they shared, or allow the tide of corporate greed to pull him under? As the clock ticked, he knew this moment could change everything for both of them. The weight of uncertainty pressed down on Jack as he paced his sleek office, the city sprawling beneath him, unaware of the turmoil within. The walls that had borne witness to his countless victories seemed to close in, suffocating him with each heartbeat. He glanced at the clock. It was nearly 5, and the day was slipping away like sand through his fingers. He thought of Maria. Her laughter, the way she lit up when discussing her art, the fire in her eyes when she talked about her dreams, it was all still fresh in his mind. But now, with the scandal looming like a dark cloud, he feared that their connection was fragile, teetering precariously on the edge of disaster. What if she couldn't see past his corporate affiliations? Or worse, what if she blamed him for the chaos that had engulfed her family? Determined to take action, Jack grabbed his coat and headed out. The city buzzed with a life that felt alien to him, but he pressed on, fueled by a relentless need to see Maria. He needed to help to prove to her that he could be more than just a name on a corporate letterhead. Arriving at the cafe, he could see her through the large windows, effortlessly juggling trays of pastries and cups of coffee. His heart skipped. Maria had always been a whirlwind of motion, but now she looked burdened, her shoulders tensed, a frown marring her typically bright face. Jack felt a pang of regret for not being there sooner, but he steeled himself. If there was ever a moment to prove his worth, it was now that he pushed through the door, and the bell chimed softly, like a greeting from an old friend. Maria glanced up, her smile faltering as her eyes widened in surprise. "Jack. What are you doing here?" Her voice was light, but he could see the worry lurking behind it. "I came to see you. Can we talk?" He spoke the words that he hoped would start to mend the cracks forming between them. "Of course," she replied, although her tone betrayed her unease. She led him to a quiet corner, away from the bustle of the cafe, but the warmth seemed distant now. Jack took a deep breath, his resolve flickering like a candle in a draught. "Listen, about what's happening at my company. I want to help you and your family." Her expression shifted, eyes narrowing. "Help us? Or is this about saving your image? Because I can't afford to be a charity case, Jack." "No!" Jack exclaimed, frustration creeping into his voice. "It's not like that at all. I care about you, Maria. Your passion, your spirit, it's changed my life. I want to be there for you, for your family. Just give me the chance to show you." Tears threatened to brim in her eyes as she seemed to grapple with his words. "But how can I trust you? You're a CEO." Jack leaned forward, urgency lacing his voice. "I'm more than that. I want to fight for what matters, and right now, that's you. The scandal doesn't define who I am or what I feel for you." Silence hung in the air, thick with unspoken emotions. Each second felt eternal as she searched his face for sincerity. Then her gaze softened, a flicker of hope breaking through the storm, but just as he thought they were breaking through, the cafe door swung open, and a group of reporters flooded in, their cameras flashing like a sudden storm breaking around them. Jack's stomach twisted. This wasn't how he envisioned this moment. The barriers he'd worked so hard to dismantle felt like they were being rebuilt in an instant. He watched in dread as Maria's smile faded, replaced by worry. "Jack, what's going on?" she whispered, her voice shaking. This sudden intrusion could change everything. Would they find a way through the chaos together, or would the relentless grip of the corporate world shatter their fragile bond? What would happen when the truth came knocking at their door? Jack's heart raced as he faced the chaos spilling into the cafe. The reporters moved like a pack of hungry wolves searching for their next story, their cameras aimed hungrily in his direction. He felt exposed, vulnerable, as though every secret he held was suddenly on display. The noise around him blurred, and all he could focus on was Maria. She pulled her gaze away from the encroaching storm, her brow furrowed with anxiety. "Jack, I can't do this right now. Not like this." Her voice trembled as she pushed her hair back, trying to regain her composure. Jack's chest tightened. How could he explain that this wasn't just a scandal for him? It was her life, their lives. "Maria, please listen. I'll handle this. I'll know, you don't understand." Her voice raised just enough to be heard through the clatter of the cafe. "This isn't about you anymore. It's about the chaos your world created around me." He could see the frustration building in her stance, the way her fingers gripped the table. He felt helpless, yearning to bridge the gap created by his circumstances. "I'm not leaving you to face this alone." His voice was steady, filled with determination. "I'll talk to them. I'll do whatever it takes." But as he moved to stand, she shook her head vehemently. "What can you even say? I promise I'm not like the others." "That's not enough, Jack. You're part of the problem." The reporters began to approach, their eyes gleaming with the thrill of a scoop. Jack could hear their murmurs, the questions unfolding like a cascade. If he didn't act fast, he would lose Maria to the hysteria swirling around them. Give me a minute, he pleaded with her. To do this right with you. Her expression softened for the briefest moment, and in that instant, Jack caught a glimpse of the hope he desperately wanted to nurture. Okay, she whispered, a flicker of uncertainty lingering. But be careful. He nodded, a surge of determination washing over him. Turning to face the microphone. He straightened his shoulders, ready to reclaim agency. Jack could feel the heat of the cameras bearing down. Listen up. He called out, trying to maintain eye contact with Maria as he spoke. I know you're here for a story, but I need to say this: my life and this company's decisions are not just business. They affect real people. They affect families. The clamor around him quieted, a mixture of disbelief and curiosity washing over the crowd. He could feel a growing tension in the air as their focus sharpened. Maria's family is more than a headline, he continued, launching into the words that had been burning inside him. They're part of this city, just like every one of you. Look for the truth, not just the sensationalism. We've all felt the weight of the world trying to tear us apart. But if we don't support each other, what are we? I want to do right by her and her family. He breathed, feeling the pulse of silence radiate around them. For the first time since he walked in, he glanced toward Maria, searching her eyes for understanding. In a moment of vulnerability, she nodded ever so slightly. Just as the tension seemed to dissipate, a flash went off. Reporters were still hunting for images as the crowd clamored for more soundbites. I'm here. And I'm staying. Find out what that means, Jack concluded, locking his eyes onto the nearest camera before turning back to Maria. Let us figure this out together. The air thickened with anticipation, his words lingering on the cusp of sincerity and fear. Would Maria take a chance on him after this storm? As her eyes flickered with uncertainty, Jack realized they had both stepped into uncharted territory. And just then, a voice rang out in the chaos, an unexpected twist amid the tension. Jack! We need you now. A statement: this is about to blow up. Jack's stomach dropped. The stakes were higher than ever, and he was caught between the woman he cared about and the out-of-control world that threatened to engulf them both. Would he stand firm and hold the line for Maria, or would the truth become the very weapon that tore them apart? Jack felt the blood rush from his face as the urgency of the moment settled over him like a cold blanket. The reporters were not his only concern. He could sense Maria's anxiety bubbling beneath the surface, her hope flickering in and out like a dying candle. Just hold on, please, he whispered to her, knowing he needed to make this right not just for himself, but for her, too. Jack, this isn't just about you standing up to them. It's about what they want from us, or rather what they think they can take, she replied, her voice shaking. The reporters were closing in, their shouts becoming a wall of sound. Jack turned to face the crowd again. The anger inside him simmered as he took a breath, forcing his voice to steady. I know what I said wasn't enough, but Maria isn't just a story. She deserves better. His eyes flickered around the room, resting briefly on each reporter's face. Beneath the blinding flashes, he realized that many of them were just people too, trying to make sense of a world filled with chaos. If he could humanize the situation, maybe just maybe they'd recognize that. Look, let us cut through the noise, he said, lowering his voice while maintaining that edge of passion. If you want a story, then let us talk about real lives. Let us talk about how everyday families face challenges, and how I want to help Maria's family overcome theirs. I want to resolve this issue, not exploit it. A young journalist in the front called out, but how do we know this isn't just a PR stunt? A chance to clean up a mess. Jack felt a flicker of annoyance. You think I'd risk everything for a photo opportunity? I'm standing here for love, for accountability, because we all know that relationships matter. Take a look around, we're more connected than you realize. And if you care enough, you'll share that truth. The murmurs spread through the crowd, rippling outward like the sound of a pebble dropped into a pond. For the first time, Jack saw a change in their expressions, curiosity mingling with understanding. Perhaps this wasn't the story they anticipated, perhaps it was something bigger. Beside him, Maria seemed to soften. He caught sight of her small smile, the lines of worry starting to ease from her face. Just keep talking, she mouthed, and he knew he couldn't stop now. His heart swelled at the thought of fighting for her family, for the future they hoped to build. Maria's family, he continued, has experienced pain just like so many others. If you direct your focus to that truth, we can shine a light on what really matters. Reputation can be rebuilt, but kindness? That can change lives forever. Suddenly, a reporter yelled, "Jack! If you're serious about supporting her, what's the first step?" With resolve, Jack straightened. "I'm committed to working with Maria's family directly. I'll meet with them tomorrow, right here in this cafe, and I invite all of you to witness honesty, to see how communities can come together to heal. We can turn this moment into something constructive." The energy shifted, the atmosphere thickening with new possibilities. He locked eyes with Maria again, feeling a silent pact between them. Maybe this chaos had brought them together to challenge the odds. But what if the media twists it? She whispered, her voice barely audible. Jack took her hands in his, grounding both of them. "Then we show them the truth. Together." As the murmurs swept through the crowd, excitement mingled with apprehension. He could sense the renewed energy, but a question lingered in his mind. Would they come together as a community or merely grab the headlines? Suddenly, a voice called from the back, "Jack! Wait!" There's more. His heart raced, not knowing if this was the answer they needed or another layer of complexity that could jeopardize everything. Would the truth unite them, or would it be the very thing that pulled them apart again? Jack turned slowly, his pulse quickening as he scanned the sea of faces in front of him. The weight of expectation hung in the air, thick and palpable. He didn't know what revelation was about to unfold, but the anticipation was almost tangible in the cafe. "Who are you?" Jack asked, squinting to see the figure at the back of the group. It was a woman, older than most in the crowd, with dark glasses perched on her nose and a blocky camera hanging from her neck. "I'm Ava," she said with an air of authority. "I've been following this story, and there is something crucial you need to know about Maria's family that hasn't been reported." Jack felt Maria pull closer, her heart resonating with the anxiety radiating from him. He gestured for Ava to continue while his mind filled with questions. What more could there possibly be? "What is it?" Jack demanded, attempting to keep his voice steady. Ava took a deep breath, pulling her glasses down to get a better look at him. "Maria's father has been in serious trouble, Jack. He was injured at work, and they're facing eviction next week. It's much worse than anyone realizes. The money issues? They're critical." Panic coursed through Jack's veins. The sense of hope he had carefully built felt suddenly precarious, like a house of cards about to tumble. He looked down at Maria, whose expression mirrored his concern. "What do you mean trouble? How bad is it?" Jack asked, urgency creeping into his words. "Maria's mother is working 2 jobs to keep them afloat, and without help, they might end up on the streets," Ava explained, her voice steady and filled with a quiet compassion. "They need support, not just sympathy. If you truly want to help her family, you need to act fast." Jack's mind raced. This was bigger than any public stand he could make. "This is not just a story anymore," he murmured, more to himself than anyone else that he felt Maria squeeze his hand, grounding him. Her eyes shone with a mixture of fear and hope. "Jack, what can we do?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper but filled with strength. He straightened, feeling the weight of responsibility settle like armor on his shoulders. "We'll figure it out together," he vowed, determination rising within him. "But first, I need to hear from your family." Ava nodded, her expression softening. "I can help you reach them. But you need to be prepared, this isn't just a financial battle. They're carrying a heavy burden on their shoulders." With renewed urgency, Jack spoke to the crowd again, his heart racing. "I need everyone to listen. Maria's family needs advocates, not just bystanders. I'm calling on you, the community. We can organize support, whether it be financial help, job security, or a place to stay. This is more than a story, this is about saving lives. He felt the energy surge in the room as murmurs of agreement began to rise. The crowd was starting to transform, their intent shifting from mere spectators to active participants. With each word, Jack felt the heavy blanket of desperation begin to lift, revealing glimmers of hope in its place. He locked eyes with Maria again, who now had a smile breaking through her worry. Together, they were creating a movement, a lifeline for her family, but just as the atmosphere shifted, a sharp voice rang out from the back again. What if it's too late? The question lingered in the air, sending a chill down Jack's spine. Was time already running out for Maria's family? Would they miss their chance to turn this around? All he could think was that while they were gathering support, they needed to act swiftly. What would happen next? Would they be able to rally everyone to help, or would the impending eviction shadow their efforts with a sense of urgency they might not overcome? The room fell silent, the weight of that one question pressing down like a heavy fog. Jack's heart raced, he could sense Maria's anxiety alongside his, both of them acutely aware of the magnitude of what lay ahead. How could they possibly turn this around when time felt like a relentless tide rising against them? Let us not give up so easily, Jack said, working to keep hope alive in his voice. He turned back to the crowd. We need to work as a team. But we have to act now. I'm going to call Maria's mother and ask how we can best help. If we can find a way to stabilize their situation, we might still have a chance. A murmur of agreement spread through the cafe. Faces that once reflected doubt transformed into flashes of determination. Jack felt the energy shift, people were ready to spring into action. Who here knows how to organize a fundraiser? He asked, his pulse quickening. Hands shot up across the room, each person eager to help. Fantastic. Let us make a plan. As he spoke, Jack felt Maria squeeze his hand tighter. He glanced at her, her eyes shining with admiration and admiration. That brief contact anchored him amidst the chaos. She trusted him, and that meant everything. We're doing this together, he said softly, just for her. Ava, still watching intently, nodded her approval. I'll help you reach out to community leaders. They need to know what's going on. Great. Jack replied, fueled by a mix of adrenaline and purpose. I'll take the lead on social media. We need to create a buzz. After-school programs, friends, and family will bring them all in. The urgency of the situation didn't let up. Every minute was a reminder that they were racing against the clock. Jack felt both exhilarated and terrified as he watched people come together. Moments like this proved what a community could do when bonded by a shared cause. As the crowd discussed logistics, Jack stepped aside to make the call. His fingers trembled on the phone as he dialed the number he had obtained from Ava. With every ring, his anxiety built. Finally, it connected. Hello. A voice, weary and strained, answered on the other end. Mrs. Torres. Jack introduced himself, trying to inject warmth into the conversation amid her palpable stress. I'm working with your daughter, Maria. We heard about the situation and want to help your family. There was a brief pause. You're working with Maria? She's been worried sick. I didn't think anyone would care. Of course we care, Jack insisted. But we need to act swiftly. Can you tell me what specifically you need right now? Jack listened intently, taking notes as Mrs. Torres spoke about overdue bills and the threat of eviction. Each word fell like a stone into the pit of his stomach. The reality of their situation felt unbearable. Okay, we're going to rally resources and support, he promised. I'll make sure the community stands behind you. Together, we can change this. Hanging up, he returned to Maria and the crowd. The room was buzzing with ideas, discussions volleying back and forth. Jack raised his voice over the noise. We've got a plan in motion. Mrs. Torres has given us specific needs. Now, let us get to work. As everyone dove into their tasks, Jack felt an unfamiliar sense of hope blooming within him. But just as he began to breathe a little easier, a flicker of doubt crept in. Was it really enough? Could their combined energy stand against the tide of despair that threatened to wash Maria's family away? And then another thought struck him. If they could secure help for Maria's family, what about others like them? What if this moment could spark a larger movement, a way to bring the community together, not just to save one family, but many? But was he prepared for such a monumental challenge? With that question swirling in his mind, he glanced around the cafe. The enthusiastic, determined faces inspired him. And at that moment, Jack realized they were about to embark on something far more significant than he ever envisioned. What could this small act of intervention lead to? How far-reaching could their combined efforts go? Jack's pulse raced as ideas flew around the cafe. People were forming teams, grabbing pens and paper, tapping away on their phones. Each person was fueled by a shared purpose, a yearning to make a difference. The atmosphere buzzed with creativity and fed an energy Jack had never quite experienced before. He absorbed the passionate conversations, soaking in the chatter about crowdfunding, bake sales, and online auctions. Friends huddled together, brainstorming catchy slogans and hashtags. Jack felt the pulse of hope. Could they really tackle a problem this big? But with each roar of laughter and fervent discussion, his resolve grew stronger. Maria glanced at Jack, her expression a mix of gratitude and awe. The smile on her face lit up the room, making his heart flutter. "I can't believe everyone is so willing to help," she whispered, squeezing his hand again. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" He replied, lost in her gaze for a moment before reality crashed back in. They were still fighting an uphill battle. But we have to stay focused. The Torres family needs us, and the clock is ticking. With each passing minute that slipped away, Jack's heart sank deeper. The urgency gnawed at him. They had a plan, sure, but would it be enough? Doubts whispered in his mind. What if they couldn't raise the funds? What if people didn't show up? What if failure hung heavy in the air, stifling all the hope they built? Jack interrupted the frantic energy for a moment. "All right, everyone, listen up." His voice seemed to cut through the noise, bringing heads around to face him. "Let us break into smaller teams. We need to map out our objectives, assign roles, and set deadlines. We can't just have ideas. We need action." As people nodded and shifted into groups, Jack felt that familiar spark of leadership igniting within him. He was no longer just an unsure teenager. He was someone with the power to steer a ship, no matter how rickety it felt. He and Maria found themselves at a table with Ava and a handful of others. "Let us tackle the social media campaign first," Ava suggested. "People need to be informed, inspired, and motivated to give." Jack jotted down her ideas and added a few of his own. "We can share powerful stories. What about showing not just what Maria and her family are facing, but how this community can fight back together? When people see how they can make a difference, they'll join in." Each passing minute brought clarity. They divided the responsibilities. One group would create a touching video, another would reach out to local media. Maria's excitement was infectious as she started gathering photos of happier moments the Torres family had shared. Her fingers danced over her phone screen, capturing memories with that same innate warmth she offered Jack, yet, even with that flurry of activity, a knot of worry settled deep within him. What if the media didn't cover it? What if they fell short? As the conversation continued, Maria caught Jack's eye, her expression grounding him. "Just take a deep breath," she said softly, placing her hand on his. "We're doing this together, remember?" Jack nodded, determination flooding his veins. "Right. Together." As their meeting wrapped up, he felt an electric sense of possibility. Together, they could change things. Their passion could make ripples that turned into waves, but then, the door swung open, and a familiar face stepped in, a figure cloaked in authority and prestige that shouted privilege. The tone in the room shifted. Jack's heart dropped. The cafe had heard whispers about this man and the way he wielded his influence before. What was he doing here? And was he friend or foe in their quest? With that single moment, doubt crept back in, bringing Jack full circle. What kind of interference might they face now? And what could this mean to their fight for Maria's family? As the anxious chatter settled, Jack realized that their battle was far from over. As the man stepped further into the cafe, Jack felt a chill breeze slide over him. It was something about the way he carried himself, smooth, confident, a glimmering badge of authority shining faintly on his lapel. People stopped mid-sentence, their laughter faltering. The buzz of enthusiasm began to drain away, replaced by tense whispers. Jack clenched his fists beneath the table. He recognized this man, Graham Thornton, a wealthy businessman known for his sharp dealings and deeper pockets. They all knew how he could swoop in and bulldoze any plan that didn't align with his interests. The fear was palpable, it mixed with the anger Jack was trying to suppress. How dare he come here, of all places, to rain on their parade? Let us see what he wants, Maria murmured, her voice barely audible, but her hand remained steady on his. He captured her gaze for a moment, drawing strength from her warmth. Whatever Graham was there for, he wouldn't let it shake them. Graham approached their table, a shadow cast over the vibrant atmosphere that had just been building. "I couldn't help but overhear your meeting," he said, his voice smooth as silk. "I must say, it's commendable that you're trying to gather support for the Torres family. But I wonder what your plan really is." Jack glanced at his friends, scattered around the table, uncertainty clawing at their resolve. "We're focusing on community fundraising, and we believe we can make a tangible difference," he responded, meeting Graham's gaze with steely determination. "We don't need anyone coming in with an agenda." A small smirk danced on Graham's face, but there was something unnerving behind it. "Oh, I think you'd be surprised what I could offer. Financial backing, connections, the kind of things that can propel your efforts to the next level. All I need is a seat at the table." That hit harder than Jack had expected. It felt like a baited trap. The ultimate question hung in the air like a thick fog. Did they really need Graham's help? The stakes loomed larger every passing second, he could feel eyes watching, people on the brink of making a choice. "What's the catch?" Ava blurted out, betraying the fears everyone felt. Graham's expression turned serious, almost predatory. "Let's just say I have some ideas for how we can reshape this campaign. I'm in the business of success, and I'm sure you'd like a shortcut." Jack felt a surge of anger bubble up. "We're not looking for shortcuts. We want to do this honestly and for the right reasons. We care about the Torres family, not just raising money." Graham's eyebrows shot up, a hint of admiration glinting in his eyes. "Fascinating. Idealists often forget in the face of reality. But believe me, without the right resources, your idealism will amount to nothing. Think carefully about your next move." As he left, a hush fell over the group. Jack's heart raced. There was so much tension lingering. Every one of them felt it, too. What had started as hope was now clouded by doubt and controversy. Turning back to his friends, he asked, "What do we do now? Are we going to let someone like him pull us off course?" Maria squeezed his hand once more, her eyes fierce with determination. "We stand firm. We don't need his shortcuts, we need our community, and we'll show him that." But beneath the resolve, Jack felt a shadow of fear creeping in. What if their courage wasn't enough? What if Graham's influence outshone their efforts? As they launched back into conversation, the questions loomed just out of reach, a heavy weight pressing on Jack's heart. How would they rise to this challenge? And could they hold on to their vision amidst the struggle? Outside, the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the cafe as the evening promised both uncertainty and hope. Jack took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was coming. Their road had just become a lot more treacherous, and their journey was just beginning. The weight of the moment still hung in the air as Jack and his friends exchanged glances, uncertainty lingering among them like the scent of freshly brewed coffee. The cafe, which had moments ago been a sanctuary of laughter and camaraderie, felt smaller now, its walls closing in with tension. Jack could hear the murmurs of patrons around them, the whispers of disbelief blending with ambient chatter. It was as if the entire cafe held its breath, waiting for a decision that would sway the course of their mission. "Okay," Ava said, breaking the silence. Her voice was steady but low, as if she were afraid of being overheard by eavesdroppers. "Let us lay out our plan. We have to stick to what we want and not get derailed. Fundraising and community support, that's our focus." "Right," said Maria, sounding more confident now. "But we also need to find ways to get people to rally. Maybe host some local events to build awareness. We can use social media, flyers, whatever it takes." Jack nodded slowly, feeling the warmth of their unity. "Yeah, we need something tangible, something that will resonate with people in this community. This is about the Torres family, and we can't lose sight of that." A flicker of hope sparked inside him, and he could see it mirrored in their eyes. But Graham's parting words echoed back, stirring the unease seated deep in his gut. "Without the right resources, your idealism will amount to nothing." Was there truth in that? What if they were wrong to dismiss someone with power and influence? "No more doubts," he finally said, his voice firmer than before. "We can't let fear control us. We're doing this because it's the right thing to do. If Graham thinks he can scare us off, he's got another thing coming." Just then, a woman entered the cafe, laughter spilling from her lips as the door swung open. She seemed out of place in the charged atmosphere, her radiant smile illuminating the room as she scanned for a spot to settle. Jack couldn't help but watch her, drawn in by the warmth radiating from her presence. It felt like a breath of fresh air, and somehow, it lifted the cloud of tension above their group just a bit. "Look," Maria pointed out, her brow furrowing in thought, "maybe we can align with our other networks, too. Some people might be more open to helping once they see how urgent this really is." "Agreed," Jack replied, "we can strategize a couple of outreach events, maybe a fundraiser to get people invested. It's about showing them that this is more than just raising money, it's about community support." As the conversation continued, Jack caught the woman's gaze again, and she smiled softly at him. It lifted his heart, if only for a second, feeling that flicker of connection amidst all the turmoil. Maybe there was hope on the horizon, even in the chaos surrounding their plans. "Right," Ava said, breaking his reverie. "We'll make this happen. We'll show Graham and everyone that we can succeed on our own terms." Her determination sparked a fire in the group, energizing them, but Jack couldn't shake the feeling that Graham wouldn't simply fade away. Committing to this path meant attracting more than just community support, it might bring unwanted attention, too. As the conversation flowed dynamically around him, Jack smiled, tightening his grip on the table. Their passion ignited something in him. "Let us meet again tomorrow," he suggested eagerly, his heart buoyed by their resolve. "We can brainstorm ideas and kick things into high gear." "Absolutely," Maria said. "This is just the beginning." With that promise hanging in the air, Jack felt a rush of determination. They might be facing an uphill battle ahead, but together, they could fight for the Torres family and their cause. All that doubt would not dim their light, yet, one thought remained sharp in the back of Jack's mind: could idealism withstand the ruthless measures of someone like Graham? The cafe began to fill again, laughter mingling with chatter as life resumed all around them, but one question lingered: how far would Graham go to reclaim control over their efforts? The evening was winding down, but the fight for their community was only just beginning. Jack stood at the front of the cafe, his heart racing. The energy was palpable, a buzz of excitement and hope swirling around him. He had watched Maria transform from worry to determination, and now, he felt the weight of purpose settle in. Today was about more than saving her family, this was about reigniting a flame of community. As the small crowd bustled around him, brainstorming ideas, his mind drifted back to Graham's sharp words. But he shook them off. They weren't alone in this anymore. The chatter was electric, ideas bouncing off the walls like fireworks in a night sky. "All right, everyone," Jack called out, his voice cutting through the noise. "Let us finalize our game plan. Who's ready to rally the troops?" A chorus of hands shot up, folks eager to take action. Maria's eyes sparkled as she stepped closer to him, her posture filled with confidence. He felt empowered by her beside him. "We need to leverage social media," Maria suggested, her voice strong. "A video showcasing the Torres family could really humanize their struggle and get people invested." "Absolutely," Jack agreed, his spirits lifting. "And we should set up a donation platform. If every person in this community contributes just a little, we could make a significant difference." A murmur of agreement passed through the crowd, buzzing with enthusiasm. Jack turned to Ava, who had also become a steadfast ally. "Can you help us reach out to local influencers? We need as many voices as we can get." "Already on it," Ava responded, fired up. The spirit of the group pushed Jack forward, igniting something he hadn't felt in years. Hours passed in a whirlwind of activity, phone calls, meetings, and the clattering of coffee cups filled the air. Jack saw the cafe transform into a hub of community spirit, excitement painting every face. Laughter mingled with determination, discussions flowed. Every conversation reminded him of the power they held together, but the thought of Graham loomed ominously. Jack knew he had to stand firm. Just a day ago, uncertainty had tethered him, but now, hope soared. He glanced at Maria laughing with friends, her joy infectious. He wanted to protect that smile, make it last. As the evening set in, Jack called everyone's attention once more. "This is just the beginning. We've agreed on a community fundraiser, but let us also highlight what we can do together: bake sales, art showcases, you name it. Let us get creative." The crowd erupted in cheers, absorbing his fervor. He felt hands clapping on his shoulders, felt flags of hope being raised. "Let us meet every day this week. Every ounce of effort counts." And the response was electric. Plans flew into the air as ideas sprouted like flowers in a garden. Each suggestion was a brick in the road they were paving together. Suddenly, someone yelled, "Let us get out to the neighborhoods and share flyers. Let us be loud about this." "Yes," Jack shouted, feeling adrenaline surge through him. "Let us go door to door. We can spread the word and gather stories, not just donations." As the group began to disperse, excitement palpable, he spotted Maria, who had been taking notes. She walked over, her face lit from within. "Did you see how everyone reacted? We're onto something big, Jack." "I know," he said, the weight lifting from his heart. "This is it. This is our chance to not just save your family, but to unite everyone." Maria smiled, her eyes glimmering. "And it starts with us. Together." He reached for her hand, holding on tightly. "No matter what happens, I'm with you." But the uncertainty of Graham, lurking like a shadow, crept back into the back of his mind. "We have to be careful," Jack said softly, looking into her eyes. "He might come at us again." "We're ready for him," Maria replied, her voice firm. "And we'll show him he can't break us." Feeling a swell of courage, Jack nodded. Tonight was just a small piece, a brick in the foundation of what was to come. As he looked around, people were already buzzing about ideas, moving to strategize next steps. It struck Jack that he had witnessed a transformation, a community rising from despair, ready to fight back. With each passing moment, warmth filled him, joy in knowing he wasn't just fighting for Maria, he was fighting for everyone like her. And together, they would face whatever storm came their way. In that moment, he promised himself. He wouldn't let fear rule them. He'd hold on to hope, for Maria, for her family, and for the community they were building together. Tomorrow would be another day, and they would rise to the occasion. Jack took a deep breath, absorbing the laughter and camaraderie, knowing change was in motion. And as the last glimmer of daylight faded, he felt stronger than ever, standing alongside those who believed in a better tomorrow. The flicker of determination in Maria's eyes ignited a fire in his heart. They wouldn't just survive this, they would thrive. They were ready to challenge the odds together. Now, to everyone watching their journey unfold, it was time to ACT.SO. If you're inspired by this story, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm. Your voice matters. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending.